everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host, Rachel.
And I'm Delia.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about your partner might be jealous of you.
Is he jealous of you? Oh, heck
Oh,
no.
man. If you're not doing so already, please follow us across our social media platforms at YDFL Podcast. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget that you can ask
Alexa
to play the
I
You
love Alexa,
Deserve
like,
Fresh Lettuce podcast.
from the beginning.
And you can also catch all the shenanigans on video. You can watch the behind the scenes in our new space here that we're filming season 3 in on YouTube.
Yes, and we're definitely trying to grow our following, so make sure that if you are watching or if you haven't been watching, that you go onto YouTube, check us out, subscribe if you like what we got to say. A lot of nonsense or not, or good stuff. Subscribe, listen, follow, share with your friends. Sharing is caring. Support.
And if you are one of those in 28 plus countries who are listening to us right now, oh my God, thank you so much for the support. Don't forget to head on over and give us a comment and tell us where you're listening from. We would really, really appreciate it.
That.
Okay, let's get into this whole idea that your man might actually be jealous of you.
Yeah.
Not jealous because of you, like, oh,
like I don't want no one watching, looking at her. No. It's jealous of you, jealous of your growth, jealous of what you're doing, jealous of your business plans, how you are improving your body, your spirit, your soul, going to the gym, and they're just getting jealous over your changes. This is something, in my opinion, that isn't so talked about.
That's
but,
true.
you know, I think that there's a saying in the Bible, like, don't tell your right hand what your left hand's doing.
Yeah.
But when you have a partner, essentially, we'd like to believe that that is a person that's your go-to. Like, hey, honey, you know, I was thinking...
We treat them like our BFF. And
I mean, they are on the
them.
side, like, on the side of whoever you confide in. They are your, like, they are your, you know, your pillow talk. Your pillow talk at night. You're, like, your go-to. Like, hey, I was thinking about doing this and that. And sometimes you would imagine or you would assume, but we know what we say about assuming, that he's going to be your greatest and your biggest supporter. And the minute he finds out that you are trying to embark in a new
business or whatever
venture, then they're like trying to block it. It's so freaking weird.
So I'm in the space of empowering women, and I'm in a space of building programs and platforms systems.
Cool stuff. Amazing stuff, by the way.
For women who want to learn how to build businesses from home. Okay, great. And the whole initiative is like so they can show up and be better mothers and be more present wives and show up for the communities and all these things, right? Wrong, because here's what I'm hearing already. The feedback is coming in loud and clear that as the woman gets excited and she starts learning all these tools and actually making progress, by the way, all of a sudden the husbands start to wig out. There's this whole thing that it kind of looks like this. I don't know why you're married to me. Like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. They start.
Do I not make enough money? Why are you doing this? What about the kids? You're gonna like not take care of the household or the kids. And what about what we've got going on? And sometimes depending on how your life dynamic is, like I know for me, we were business owners, so I did sales, and it's like, you know, I was trying to embark in other businesses that it was like, well, you know that our business you need to go out there and do sales. So when are you planning to go do sales if you're planning to embark in this new venture?
Yes.
And I remember I was like, okay, well, I'm going to dedicate this many days to this and dedicate this many days to that. But it almost feels like every single time I would find a solution, he would find a problem to the solution to block that growth.
To give you a visual, in the cartoon, the original Cinderella, the stepmother says, "You can go to the ball. You can go if you can find a dress, and if you can find a dress, you can go." And then she gets so excited, like, "I can go!" And then the stepmother says, "But don't forget, you got to do the laundry and the wash and the ironing and the pressing and the sewing and what the mother did, the stepmother started adding on so many things onto her plate
that was so unrealistic,
that weighted her down to the point where she couldn't go do that thing. Well, we know the story; she did go do it, but this is what happens to wives: is the husband starts saying, "But what about the kids? And what about this? And what about that? And what about us?" And then all of a sudden, you start to have less and less and less energy and time and ability to focus on this thing that you want to do for yourself.
Right. And you know, also what I've noticed lately too, is like when the woman has this bright idea, she wants to embark in this business or wants to do this one thing, And then all of a sudden it's like, well, then who's going to do the laundry? It's kind of like the Cinderella thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you know what? I found somebody. Actually, she's going to be able to come in on Mondays or whatever, Fridays, whatever it is. And then it's like, the guy's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But then what are you going to do? And it's this whole thing, like, then what are you here for if you have someone doing the laundry, the cooking, the picking up the kids, then what do I need you for?
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing, by the way, and I never could pinpoint it to say, like, is he jealous of you or me or whatever? And it, like, for me personally, it got to the point where I was like, something really exciting was embarking in this new business venture that I was, doing. Actually, I was doing it with Rachel back in the day. And it was one of those things that I wanted to kind of branch out for all the reasons. If you guys have been following You Deserve Fresh on this podcast, and you would know why. Yeah. And so we were working on a pretty amazing project, and I remember that we were knocking on some pretty heavy doors and making some waves there. And all of a sudden, it's like all of the excitement that I had going on, I had to tell myself, do not over celebrate, because he's not going to celebrate you during these landmarks of like celebrations, because he did not want me to thrive. And oftentimes we don't see that, by the way. Why? Because we think it's in our head, like, no, he can't be jealous of me. That's my husband.
Weird.
Like, it's weird. How is that possible?
Especially because as women, naturally, we're very encouraging to our husbands, and we want them to win, and we want to be cheerleaders for them.
Yes.
And I know that I've been around, some really beautiful women who were involved with some really successful men, and I guess this could be the case for even if a man isn't super successful, but they would have an idea, and the guy would be like, oh, I'll give you $10K for that. I'll give you, here, I'll invest. And they'll always give this big number. And for this particular friend, because I had a front row seat to that, I was a business partner with her, and I got to see her hopes go up and down, up and down. And it would be these men that would be like, oh my God, $100K? Cool. Like, Rachel, email me, we'll get it done. And unfortunately, once they would give but they'll always come up with a story about why they're not going to give the whole $100K. They'll just go, here, well, here's 5,000, here's 10,000. And then they would see all the magic and miracles that we would be able to pull off with that money. And suddenly it made them a little bit concerned, like this one, whoever she was dating, concerned that she was actually going to grow wings and fly or something. Mm-hmm. So there's they're willing to support you, not all men, but this is what we're talking about. It's almost like they're willing to do just enough to get all the praise and all the credit for supporting you and encouraging you and investing in you, but not so much so that you might actually fly the coop.
Right.
And it's so odd, because here's what I even told my son recently. I want you to know, as a man, please don't be fearful that she's going to leave you. Don't be so fearful that you don't encourage her because she might leave you. Just be a wonderful man. Right. So that she can feel free to fly in the air and do whatever and do the flips, and you can cheer her on, and she's going to say, I love my husband.
Right.
Just be a wonderful man. You don't got to tear her down or lock her down.
Or remind her that at the end of the day, she's still in a cage, and you're going to clip her freaking wings, Yes. I saw, there's this person that I know, I'm like Mother Goose, I have all these stories, but I know this particular person, they actually started these treatment centers, and they were very successful treatment centers. And he actually was very supportive of her. So, of course, she did start getting the success and starts being kind of a jerk. Oh. And right away, let me tell you, he was like, let me tell you, I made you. Oh. I built you. You are who you are because I did that. So don't forget it. And I'm telling you this, guess why? Because I was there when he said this to her. Wow. And he's like, I will take her. I don't care. Those treatment centers are mine. And the guy did something completely different. And I get it. Oftentimes what I've noticed is that you are in a partnership. You are in a relationship. You are in a marriage. But I think the minute someone feels like someone's being sidestepped
or
outgrowing, the other person's going to be quick to remind them, I made you. You are who you are because I did that.
And that's the equivalent of a woman who marries a man who becomes very successful in his craft, and then she's fighting to get credit. The whole way along the way. It was because of, the long nights on our coffee table or whatever, you know what I mean? But in terms of jealousy, I've seen this manifest in all different ways, and I didn't fully recognize it in my life. And even with certain people that were supposedly interested in dating me, there was all these little snarky comments. So if, let's just say, I've had a few articles written of me, right?
Yeah.
And then here comes one, and I'm like, oh, and I'm trying to be humble because I think I just kind of am, anyways. And it's like, oh, they wrote this article, and blah, blah, and then it's like, well, why? Like, what do you like?
What's so important?
Like, why would they? Why they pick
you?
Like, did you pay them? Like, what? And I'm like.
Yeah, so it's so funny that you should say that because I had an incident not too long ago, and I'm not dating this person by no means, but I was talking to him about just what we're doing and what have you, and he's like, "How are you doing in your little office?" And
little
and the thing about it is that like it could be little to you, and it might not be a big warehouse or a big building that's like 100,000 square feet, but to me, I don't look at it like that. And to me, I just felt like it was a very, like, I don't know, it was a disrespectful way to say, like, how are you doing in your little office? Like, I'm great. How are you doing in your little car, in your little house with your little brain? Like, I mean, I would never be disrespectful like that, right? Like, what the heck? Who even says that, right?
But they do, and people, they will say these things and they will belittle you. It could be even the little... They're trying to be cheeky, calling you fat. Like in the Latin community, it's like, oh, mi gorda. And it's like this little thing, and it's like, okay. And you might know you're not fat, by the way. And I've heard men say this to women that are not fat at all. But why plug that little thing? Like, why be like, I'm so attracted to this hot-ass freaking woman, but let me just plant that little egg in her brain
to be
that I view her as chubby. And so naturally a woman's brain's going to go, well, he must be with some really skinny fit girls to be saying that to me.
Or anorexic, bulimic girls.
I'm
like, should I not eat lunch today? Because we are very in our head sometimes, but this is what they'll do sometimes. This is an act of jealousy.
It is. And so it's a really hard thing to wrap your head around. There's even stories of I'm recently seeing now on social media and TikTok where people are saying, 5 signs that your mother is jealous of you.
Ooh.
If you're a daughter, and I'm like, your parent jealous of you. It's weird. And I've heard these stories of like, they take something out really bad on the daughter because the father favors that daughter, and the mother is just freaking just agitated without probably even realizing that that's why she's agitated with that daughter. And so it happens in our relationships.
I mean, I could see that. I could see that, but I truly believe that whoever you decide to spend the rest of your life with, you need to cheer them on every step of the way, because you're not fighting the battle, or you're not living this life by yourself. You actually have a partner. And so I don't understand what the jealousy thing is, where they don't want to let you shine. They don't want to see you grow. They want you to grow, but not bigger than them.
Bigger than them.
They want to make sure that, yes, like when they're around friends, like, oh yeah, my wife is smart. Like, she does this, that, or the other, or she went to school, she's got all these degrees.
Yes.
But they don't want you to excel on your degrees more than they've excelled in their businesses, in their degrees, in what they're doing. And they want to keep you down. It's the weirdest thing.
It's so weird. And then here's the other thing about it, and I think this is new to our society, because, women are now outpacing men professionally and academically and stuff like that. And so that this is new. We're all learning to navigate this landscape, right? But at the end of the day, I think what's really hard is that as women, we want to appease and we want to make our men feel really secure.
Yes.
And so what ends up happening is they throw their insecurities at us in their roundabout ways, and then that prompts us to do everything we can to dim our light to make him more comfortable. Right. And I see this time and time again. Yes. I was guilty of that. There was a thing with my vocabulary, for example. I used to have a really wonderful, high-level vocabulary, and my professors would always, admire it. And people, I studied journalism. People were like, "You're gonna do great because your vocabulary." And so my husband, when I was married at the time, he had said, "Oh my God, really?" And I showed him this thing that the professor wrote about it, and he goes, "Do me a favor. Whenever you hear me speaking like not that way, like correct me so that I can learn with you." And obviously, 3 days later, he was like, "Stop effing correcting me," Right. And but what ended up happening was I already was now conscious of the fact that now he's going to be insecure because I have this ability or whatever it is.
Right.
That I, by the way, developed. It was like, you got to practice and do all these things. So I started to dim the way I spoke. And until this day, I don't communicate as well as I did in the beginning.
But do you feel that you don't communicate with him, or just generally?
In general. Because it's so many years of being, with someone that you're like dimming
this is on a tangent, but it's so funny because when I speak, like my Spanish, in my opinion, right? Only in my opinion, I feel like it's on point. Like I speak very well, like my Spanish is really good. But when I speak to my mom, I am like very self-conscious because I know that she's going to correct me on the next word. Yes. And it's like, you didn't say that correctly. So half the time I'm speaking to her, but I'm trying to be very methodical on what I'm going to say next. And so I would imagine that it would be similar to that, where you have to really think like, don't correct him.
Yeah.
Don't use that big word. He doesn't know what that means.
Yeah.
And you have to talk to him in layman's terms and almost with sign language. Just kidding.
But at the end of the day, and he's openly spoken about it not even too long ago, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things that I naturally wanted to make him happy, and I was a little bit of a people pleaser, or a lot of a people pleaser, in my early years, and I wanted, that's what I'm saying, like, and I really wanted to just make him feel comfortable.
Right.
And there's been a situation that came up recently, even with someone close to me, that they got a really great opportunity to shine. And I was so happy for this person. I said, this is your moment, because this isn't a person that seeks the light, by the way. And I always say, look, whatever light shines on me, if you're in my camp and you're in my sphere, it's going to inadvertently shine on you. And by the way, I want that to be the case. And so, the light shines, and clearly, the partner was not comfortable with it. And there was a whole shift with that, and there wasn't even a mention of it anymore. And it was almost like, let's pretend like like it never happened. And where I was like, what? This is like such a big deal and stuff like that. And so I've seen it in my own life. I see it in other women's life. I've seen it in beautiful women with very wealthy men, that the men are like, I got you. Anything to support her and get her so excited and Google-eyed over him, but they actually just give them just enough to keep them. To say, I helped her, but not enough for her to thrive.
Right.
And that is where we go, well, is he jealous? Is he just insecure?
Like, what is it? I know that I was reading this article on this young entrepreneur, and he made like a Forbes 30 under 30 or something like that. And on the article that he wrote, or that was written about him, he basically said, why do men not, rather than giving the girl the bag, the shoes, the this, the that, why don't they extend their knowledge on crypto, on investing, on, business building, on the things that the men already kind of naturally have within them? Like, I know a lot of women are very business minded or what have you, but to me, it kind of, it did this little shift on me where I was like, that's so brilliant. Like, rather than spending $5,000-$6,000 on something that you're never going to get value out of, why not put it into a stock? Why not put it into a crypto? Why not put it into a course? Why not build up the person that you're with? Because at the end of the day, you guys are both showing up for each other, and you have to elevate each other.
It's funny that you say that, because I saw a TikTok video. We always talk about TikTok, but a TikTok video where the woman was saying, and maybe it was a man talking, but she was expressing to him that she was kind of getting depressed, and here they were at the height of their career, flying private. He's getting paid tons of money to speak publicly, to coach people. The business is taking off. It's like never before. Dreams come true. But every time he would go to these speaking events, or he would do these coaching sessions, he would drop her off at the mall, or like get her a spa package for the day, and all these things. And eventually he came back to the hotel room, and she was sad, and he was like, what's wrong? Like, and she goes, I don't understand. If we're a power couple, why don't you have me in the room so I can learn too? And she realized that he was surpassing her in knowledge. Although they started at the same time, he absolutely passed her. And so then he didn't realize, oh my God, I could totally empower my wife, and then we're truly a power couple. And it made me start to realize something, because I see so often when the man succeeds, the woman is trying to claw at the ability to get credit for it.
Exactly.
And I think what women maybe should do, if you're listening, if that's you, I think you should start stepping up and speaking up. And saying, like Delia said, I love the bags, but I want to learn what you know. I want to learn that you're going to go trade today at 4 a.m. Like, I'm going to wake up with me, and I want you to show me like about ETFs. Like, start getting interested in what he knows and stuff like that. Because if you're just letting him outgrow you, that's what's happening. He's going to outgrow you, and you're going to be here looking pretty, clawing at this whole like, but I'm the queen and I'm his partner and we're equals.
And I started with him from the bottom, and look at where we're at. But in reality, like, you're trying to give yourself some type of value because he's obviously not including you. But at the end of the day, I mean, there is a lot of things you can learn just on YouTube University without even putting it out there. And there's a lot of programs, as Rachel, has launched her amazing program recently for women. I mean, there is so many ways for you to elevate yourself, but I guess I'm kind of going on a tangent, but point is that oftentimes though, the men don't want to see you grow in this regard. They don't want to see you, not be there present for the kids. But if it's not you, then who, right?
Yeah.
But then what happens when you put yourself off to the corner, and then 2 years go by, 5 years go by, 10 years go by, and all of a sudden you're so behind on technology, on what's going on in the world, on business, on how to do the operation of a business from a day to day, because you've been stuck at home, and God forbid you try to embark in a new business. If this is you that I'm speaking to, because I know there's a lot of women that do have to go to work and have to go out there, but for those that maybe the husband does let you go out to work, or you have to have dual income, they probably don't want to see you excel, further than them. And I'm not talking to 100% of everybody, because there are, those people that
the men that are really wonderful with it.
Yeah, but
at the end of the day, I think it's a matter of if we get to the root of it, everything is like, what is the core cause of this? Like, we're talking all about the symptoms, right? But the core cause of it is there's a level of insecurity or belief that he hasn't been a good enough man to you for you to stay if you won the lottery. And I think, or to stay if you built a 7-figure, 8-figure business. And that's at the root of it. The root reality is he thinks he hasn't been the man that or you both know you would prefer, if you actually had enough financial stability to leave. The reality, though, that's what they're probably thinking. But the reality is, we love our partners, we love our families, and like at the end of the day, we would stick with his grumpy butt or whatever, even if we won the lottery. That's the reality of the situation. I think most women could probably agree with that to an extent. But I think that if men just focused on being great partners and supportive partners, we will stay all day long. And the women that grow their wings and go, you're lucky that I'm da-da-da and that da-da-da, let her fly, like at the end of the day, just like we would do on the opposite end. And so I think if you're one of the Fab 15 men listening, the takeaway is turn the temperature down, that insecurity of like, oh my God, if I do this, she's going to fly away, so I have to put her down. I have to make her think she's fat, make her think she's dumb, make her think she's not good enough, make her think she's not a good enough mom, make her think she's not a good enough wife.
Cook, she doesn't know how to do the things, she's not smart enough, she's not good enough.
All that energy into that, put it into you becoming a better partner for this woman who is a brilliant woman, who deserves the best in life. Put it into your ability to be confident and supportive, and you're going to watch her fly, but it's like a kite. Okay, a great relationship's like a kite. One is the string and one is flying up in the air, and like, be the string.
Always.
To the kite. And
sometimes it'll shift, sometimes you're going to be the string and he's going to be the kite, and sometimes you're going to be the kite, he's going to be the string. But at the end of the day, that someone's going to hold you down. Someone is going to be there to hold you, to grab you, to make sure that you're going to be okay. But this whole jealousy thing has me so so confused, because I'm like, this sucks that you can't celebrate these wins with this person that you're supposed to hold his hand to his death, because he has such an issue with you growing and you becoming supposedly bigger, or thinking you're bigger, or losing more weight, or changing the things that you don't like about yourself. It's so horrible.
I'm going to give you an example that's so out there, that's like an eye-opener. There's an episode of The Kardashians where Kanye West is on several of the episodes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many seasons back it is, but I think it's the last year of the Keeping Up with the Kardashians on E, if I had to guess. And there's a scene where Kanye and Kim are laying on the couch in their theater room, and he's telling her he wants to move to Chicago. Okay. And he's trying to convince her that that's where they should be. And so she's basically saying, well, I don't see what your fascination is with Chicago. I get that you love Chicago, you're from Chicago, you rep for Chicago, but like, we're in LA, life is good, what's the point? And he said, because when I'm in Chicago, it's like, Kanye, 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 okay? And he goes, so and she goes, well, that's why I love LA, because when I'm in LA, it's like, Kim, and she does this whole thing. And what she's pointing out is, it's almost like he's jealous because he's not as,
popular.
He's not as popular with the paparazzi in LA as Kanye as he is in Chicago. So he's like, I think I just want to move to Chicago. But his reasoning was directly the attention from the paparazzi. And it really stood out to me because I thought, oh my God, like he feels dimmed by her light.
Shoot.
He feels like he's in the shadow.
Rather
being
than
like a power couple.
Right.
It is this whole like, we need to go to Chicago
I honestly feel like the message here is don't be jealous. Like be like set a goal. Like be that power couple, however it is. And you know what? Both people have to cheer each other on because the benefit that she grows is your benefit. The benefit that he grows is your benefit. You guys are in a partnership, like a lifelong partnership should you, till death do you part. Yeah. So don't sit there and dim, your husband's light, your wife's light. No. Like empower, grow, be a power couple.
Be a power couple. And it really starts with the man. The man sets the tone. Don't be afraid to give your wife wings, like Red Bull, right? Don't be afraid to give her wings. Like at the end of the day, all that's going to be revealed is her true nature. For better or worse, you're going to see her true nature. And don't be afraid of seeing that and facing that. And also, if she comes to you and says, honey, like I found this amazing program, or I want to go back to school, or, I want to learn how to do this online store. And all of a sudden she hits. We saw a kid here, 22 years old, do $2 million in 2 months with his store. Wow. And what I'm saying is, imagine if that was a young wife that was doing that. What in the world? I'm sure the husband would have been like, yay, wow. And then, oh no.
Oh no.
And so that's what we're here to say to you.
You know what, really quick, before we end this, also, I recently experienced the sadness in someone's eyes that was, out there in the business world, doing things, making moves, she's doing all the things that she's supposed to do. Yeah. She has 3 kids, and at the end of the day, like, he's like, your best role right now is to be a mom, and I'm not, and I agree, like being a mom is a privilege, and having a husband that can allow you to be home is a beautiful thing. However, I've never seen such sad eyes. She felt like she had lost herself at home. She had lost herself with the kids. And I think that there is nothing wrong with getting someone to assist a couple days a week. Or, maybe once the kids start school, like you starting that program you just talked about, maybe starting an online course, maybe starting, learning a new trade. Like there's nothing wrong with that, because it allows you to feel valuable to the world, to be of service. And that's ultimately what the goal is, right? Is to serve many. And so the fact that she only sees that she has to serve these 3 little humans plus her adult child, it really doesn't give her that value that she feels she deserves. Yeah. So it was really sad to me, by the way. Like, I felt terrible for her.
It's funny because I thought you were talking about this one woman in our office, and she has little kids too, 3 of them, and she was saying she essentially outgrew her husband financially. She outpaced him, not outgrew him. And she was venting to us the challenges in that she went to she's in counseling for it, and the wall that she's hitting. And we sat there just talking to her and guiding her, not to be like, oh, leave him, but like for her to find ways to let him know like what she would like of him, okay, and kind of guiding him on how to show up for her, but also to encourage her and take some things off her plate too,
right? Of course,
and
so
everything,
important.
Because so often when the women, ladies, when you guys fly and you guys are like, oh my God, like now I'm this successful woman, I'm doing all these things. There is an empowerment thing that happens. Ego can come in.
Yeah, of course.
And there's all these things. And suddenly you're looking at your husband from a different vantage point. It's different to look at your husband when you're looking up like this than when you're kind of starting to look down like this, than when you're looking at him eye to eye. There's a shift that happens, and you need to be mindful of for yourself. Am I still looking up to him with googly eyes? Am I looking eye to eye as a partner? Or am I now looking down at him because I make more money, because I can do XYZ, no one can tell me blah, blah, blah. And you need to check your energy too.
Because you know what, at the end of the day, we've talked about this, you say this oftentimes, like men desire to be respected.
Yes.
So, and I understand respect is given, you give and take, it's a give and take, respect is give and take. But at the end of the day, like, are you not respecting your partner because now you're looking down at your partner because you're making a lot more money than he is? And so, it goes hand in hand with a man and a woman, right? Like, you have to have respect for each other and, grow and not be jealous of each other. Because there are women that are jealous of their husbands too.
Yeah.
Not just women, not just men to the women. And so at the end of the day, you just have to look at each other as partners, not as equals, but as partners, life partners, the power couple. Like, try to see how that happens, like how you can make that work, how you can make those things, those shifts, those money moves, those spiritual
Everything.
moves,
Physical too.
Moves.
If you see him hit the gym and now he's getting buff like Bezos, don't sit there criticizing him. Like, you're only criticizing him because you don't like the fact that you're not working out. It's like, meet him where he's at. Like, he's leveling up, go meet him. If you're, a couch potato and you see her getting fit now and she's getting all, looking like ESPN2 type energy, and you're like, man, she looks hot, but like, I don't want her to know it. Meet her where she's at. Go on walks with her. Hit the gym with her sometimes. Like,
get a trainer. Get out there.
Our partners, I believe that God puts people in our lives that we need in order to evolve into higher versions of ourselves. I don't believe that God necessarily gives us the person that we want. He gives us the one we need to evolve into higher versions of ourselves. So if you see one of your partners, your partner is escalating and he's going, he's leveling up, don't sit there going, oh, look at him. He thinks he's so funny. Look at him. He got his teeth done. Look at him. Like, no, come on, let's go. Let's go. Like, he's in it. He's doing this thing called life in the highest form that he can. Let's go. Let's go get it done with him. And so, and it goes both ways.
It goes both ways. So, don't be jealous.
Don't be jelly belly.
Empower.
No more peanut butter and jellies.
No peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And if you do, make sure you eat them together with a little milk. Empower each other. Do big things, great things, and empower each other to empower the world.
Because there's no point in having success, fame, or money if you don't have someone who loves you to share it with.
Loves you and respects you,
And respects you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So,
See you
anyway,
next Tuesday.
You deserve fresh lettuce, and that's all I got.
Fresh lettuce.